If I were to suggest to a large group of Halo fans that Halo is not fun anymore, I'd probably get my head ripped off and angrily thrown into a corner for being such a pretentious and opinionated twit. But in my sincere opinion, Halo genuinely is not fun anymore. Now, I don't mean that the gameplay is stale or that the franchise is tired, and I'm definitely not joining those edgy 343 killed Halo people in their weird crusade. What I'm actually trying to say is that the aura of fun in the universe has dried up. Things have gotten far too serious. For me, the turning point with this had to be with the release of Halo Reach, and obviously this game needed to have a hopeless tone. You needed to feel like this was a bad situation, you are fighting a losing battle, and as the tagline stated, from the beginning you know the end. Reach was doomed from the start, and having characters cracking wise from beginning to end would have been so uncomfortable and inappropriate to the overall tone. But Reach's story has already been told. Twice, technically. So can we get some of those light-hearted moments back in Halo now? I say it again, in my humble opinion, Halo isn't as fun as it used to be in terms of the general vibe, and that's not for a lack of trying either. To effectively convey this, I am gonna have to make a comparison between Bungie's Halo and 343's Halo. 343 have definitely tried to bring some humor into the series with characters that'll crack a joke, or characters that'll get a little cheeky, or they'll have Marines that say something silly. But I cannot honestly say that I remember finding these attempts to be as endearing as the older games. If anything, 343's attempt at humor seems to be very dry for me. I know that comedy is subjective and we all see things differently, so I don't know, you guys may see this a lot different than I do. But take Bungie's Halo for example. There was a horrible, horrible war going on. People were dying left, right, and center. Entire worlds were being left in ruin by a seemingly unstoppable alien force, hell-bent on purging humanity from the galaxy. And what's more, they had a reason to do it. They saw us as a gross offense and an unholy affront to their religion. We would dirty their precious relics, and in return, they would use any brutal method they could to completely destroy us. I can easily say that Halo 1 to 3 were not as amazing as truly explaining the exact scope of death and destruction the Covenant were capable of, or how much violence there truly was. But if you think about it for just a moment, it does start to hit home that it was a very, very dark time for humanity. We were basically on the run, losing planet after planet in the process to the Covenant. ODST takes place in a megacity that has been completely abandoned. Yet with all this going on, it still kept a light tone in certain places. The situation was bad, but the people surrounding you in the story were willing to fight to the end. The Marines during gameplay would crack a joke or hit you with some bravado. I suppose that's an almost inappropriate direction to see the narrative when worlds are falling and people are dying, but Halo didn't take itself seriously. In fact, it almost refused to. Halo knew that it was a ridiculous franchise. It knows that it's a series about giant space hula hoops, suicidal dogmatic religions, and super soldiers. It didn't take itself too seriously, and that was an endearing trait. I have yet to experience this kind of feeling with 343's interpretation of the Halo universe for whatever reason. Maybe they did want a more grounded and serious tone for the narrative, and I can respect that, but I wish there was some room for light-hearted moments that help drown out the seriousness. To date, my favourite Bungie story has to be Halo 2, and my favourite 343 story would easily be Halo 4. Both of these narratives are told exceptionally well and are a credit to the series, but if I compared the two, Halo 2 by far has more of a light-hearted charm to it. And Halo 2 seemed to be building up to the apex of the Human Covenant War. With Halo 4, different vibe entirely. I could definitely see where the writers were trying to inject some humor, but it seemed so forced. And the cheeky banter from the Marines seems to have devolved from actual banter to animated props spouting randomized observations. I can remember that one of the promotional pieces leading up to Halo 4 was the inclusion of Conan O'Brien and Andy Richter. I like Conan O'Brien and Andy Richter, I think they're funny people, and the video of Frank O'Connor and Kiki Wolfkill trying to explain to them where they would fit into Halo 4 was very entertaining to me. And while they were recording the dialogue, it looked as if there were some really funny things that 343 could do with these lines, and when Halo 4 launched, this is what it became.
This is a pretty sweet union we're in.
It's fantastic.
Stand near the crates, but don't ever move them.
Right. Right. And if anybody even looks at the crates, that's a violation.
You know what? There's one thing my grandpa told me. Never awaken an alien from an ancient slumber.
Where did all the funny go? The animated over-the-top dialogue, it's like the director completely sucked the fun out of it and left it hollow and dull. It amounted to two Marines standing next to crates, making observations about the crates and, I guess, breaking the fourth wall. Another example of a character going from interesting to dull would be Buck. In ODST, he's a lovable rogue. He's got this wisecracking personality, but at the same time he knows the stakes, he knows that he has a job to do, and he does it well while holding on to that professionalism. Until he knows that things have gone tits up. You can see him try to hold things together, but after the untimely exit of Regret's carrier, he becomes far looser as the story goes along. But in Halo 5, he's so static. It's as if his sole purpose for existing is to be a seat filler who occasionally says something relevant to the plot. I suppose I could argue with myself that Buck's character changed after the death of the Rookie and the events that led up to him becoming a Spartan, and immediately after, I guess. But that's external media and not something that everyone is going to pick up on. Buck is definitely present in Halo 5, 100%. It's a brilliant portrayal by Nathan Fillion, and an even bigger credit to the motion capture team because he looks stunning. But as a character, the lights are on, but nobody's home. It's such a huge disconnect, and it's the most annoying thing in the world because I would love to root for these characters that 343 have brought to the table. But it's very difficult to do that if I don't see them as anything more than digital props. If I could pick out a single character from 343's lineup to give credit to, it would easily be 𝗟𝗏𝗂. I love 𝗟𝗏𝗏𝗂, I love the actor who plays him, and I want to see more of him. But unfortunately, 𝗟𝗏𝗏𝗂 is the only character that I can really think of. Look, I think it goes without saying that I don't believe that we need Halo to take a sudden and abrupt dip into comedy. I don't need to see the Master Chief cracking bad jokes, you know? Putting this whole thing into perspective is easy, because back in 2007, if all of my Marines were killed off by brutes in Halo 3, not only would I be genuinely saddened by the loss of my squad, I would also go on a murderous rampage to avenge them all, and then to top it off, I would play me slaughtering those brutes back in theater mode in slow motion. You know, in hindsight, that's telling me some things about myself that I think I would rather leave buried, but that's the kind of connection that I used to have to the Marines alone, and that I would love to have to 343's Halo. But so far, their side characters and the Marines themselves have been largely devoid of any humor and charm, with the Marines themselves being akin to more like disposable props. With Halo Infinite, I'm hoping that we can see some humor. I like the idea of Chief going through this story with his new buddy, the currently unnamed Marine, possibly learning more about being a real human in lieu of Cortana's absence. Two examples of this kind of development that I could showcase would be the relationship between the child and the Mandalorian, or Hogarth Hughes and the Iron Giant. Obviously, these are two very different types of character, and I don't think that we need to go, that far, but they're just loose examples of how a real relationship could develop between somebody who has been lost for a long time and away from people that he loves, and this Goliath who is now going to have to protect him. Imagine this guy trying to teach Chief some banter throughout the story. Wouldn't it be new grounds for the Chief's character if he actually managed to see the humor? Kinda like Batman laughing, really.
I've never seen you laugh before. I don't think I like it. Cut it out!
I guess a third comparison could be John Connor and the Terminator from Terminator 2, where John is trying to teach the T-800 to be more human. But who knows, that could be something that gets in the way of the main story, and I don't want that, obviously. Things are rough in the Halo universe. It's war. People are dying and planets are still being enslaved or destroyed. But inject a bit of humor into it and it makes the universe feel more human in its approach to storytelling. Because in reality, we do use humor to make things seem not as bad as they really are. Enough with these dull as dishwater characters that come and spout military jargon before disappearing again into irrelevance. Give Infinite some light-hearted comedic and endearing moments that help give the universe and characters some meat. And that's all I have to say. I'm gonna read some comments, but before I do, I just wanted to say I hope you all had a great time during the holidays, whatever you celebrate. I hope that you enjoyed the new year, and thank you very much for watching. What do you like the most about Halo in general? I love the community. I guess every gaming community has the same kind of experience, but my experience with Halo has been really unique. Halo fans are creative, and I doubt that I would still be here if it wasn't for the friends that I've made. What is your favorite Halo 2 moment? I guess some people would disagree, especially back in 2004 with the cliffhanger ending, but the part where Chief says that he's gonna go and finish the fight, and the amazing music and the credits, everything, it's something that I will never forget. If you could have one pet from a video game, what would it be? Hands down, a Chow from the Sonic series. I spent ungodly hours in the Chow Garden with Sonic Adventure 2 for the GameCube. I think I was always trying to get the Chaos Chow, but I could never manage to do it. I really want to know your opinion on Cursed Halo. Obviously, as you can see, I've been using the gameplay from Cursed Halo for this video. Really enjoying it, very funny. I would definitely have to say that my favorite weapon is the flaccid sniper rifle. If Half-Life and Halo had a crossover, how would you feel? I don't know much about Half-Life. I've tried playing Black Mesa a few times, but it's unfortunately not the kind of thing that I enjoy. But as far as a Halo Half-Life crossover, yep, I'm all for that.